Hi guys, welcome back to Bows Fan TV, and today we're back with another video doing the match preview for tomorrow's game against Cork City at Dalymount Park. Looking to pick up back-to-back home victories as well as respond to last week's defeat in Talca Park. I think it's important that we win this game against the Cork side, who are struggling at the moment. They're missing a good few players. They're on poor enough form. They've only won one game all season. Obviously, that was against us back in February in Turner's Cross. But yeah, no, I think there's no doubt that they're struggling, and we need to capitalise on that in this game. And look, we all know that it's very hard to predict these games in the league. They can go either way, but with us being the home side, you'd expect a good performance, you'd expect a win, and hopefully we can get that. I think it's just about responding to, I think, especially that second half performance out in Talca Park last week. Where when we started the game brightly, we were probably the better team in the first half, in my opinion, but didn't back it up in the second, which was really disappointing. And look, it's just about replicating that first half performance against Shields, along with our last home performance as well against Sligo, where we showed our clinical side, and we were very good going forward. We got the 3 points that night, and we need to do the same here. Look, it's not going to be easy. Like I said, it's not easy. There's no easy games in the league, but despite the fact that we're coming up against a struggling Cork side who have lost their last 3 or 4, I think, and they're struggling with injuries as well. Rory Keaton, we know, was out for pretty much the rest of the season with an ACL injury. Sean McGuire has been missing for the last few weeks as well. It doesn't look like he's going to be fit for this one. They do have Greg Bulger back, however, which is a big plus for them, because there's no doubt he brings that bit of a bite and experience in the midfield. But apart from him and maybe one or two others, it's a pretty inexperienced squad. I remember mentioning this in the preview for the Cork game a couple of months back. You look at their defence; it's very inexperienced. It's quite youthful. And I think that's shown now really in the last few games that they are lacking that bit of experience. Tim Clancy had a few harsh words after that Rovers game. Where he pretty much said if the current crop of players don't start, if they don't step up, they'll be replaced in the summer. So you'd expect that the players to take those comments and try and improve and prove Clancy wrong. But look, it's up to us, as the home side, to take control of this game now and dominate and get the 3 points. That's all that matters really. In terms of the team, I think I'd probably keep things quite the same. I think I'd make one change maybe, and I think I'd probably drop Dale Rooney out, to be honest. I think it's probably time that he takes a bit, it's probably time for him to take a bit of time out of the team. I don't think he's been at the races so far this season. We all know how good he can be on his day, but I don't think we've seen that from him so far this season. So I think Connor Parsons, I think I would start him for this game. I think he could give us something a little bit different, maybe help us get up the pitch a bit quicker. Just another option there that we can bring in and maybe give us something a bit different. So I'd bring Parsons in for this game, but other than that, I'd probably keep things the same. I don't think there's too much you can change really. I know people look at the defence and say, well, does one of Kavanagh and Gretton drop out maybe? Does Cornwall come back in? If Lacey's fit, does he start? But I don't think it would change it, to be honest. I don't think there's much we can do there really. There's not loads of options at the moment. So yeah, I think apart from Rooney, parts coming in for Rooney, I don't think it would change anything really. In terms of prediction, I'm going to go with a win. I just think at home against a struggling Cork side, I think we need to take control of this game. We need to dominate really. We need to put in a good, convincing 90-minute performance, which we already haven't done all season really. If we're being honest, maybe the only one I can think of is maybe the Rovers game on the opening day. Down at Waterford, I think suppose we were pretty good for the 90. We had our moments in other games. You think back to Sligo a couple of weeks back. We were pretty good for the whole of that game, but we had that little blip. But I think for this game, we need to put in a good, solid 90-minute performance. Just being in control, no mistakes, no worries. Just to grab control of it from from the start. Get score a few goals. That's what we want to see. Of course, we want to see more from us going forward. We need to be a bit more clinical. We've been saying that for months now, but it would be nice to see that. So I'm going to go with a 2-0 win, a solid enough 2-0 win. I think we'll get the job done. Hopefully we can create a good atmosphere. I actually thought the atmosphere in the last home game against Sligo was very, very good. If we can replicate that sort of atmosphere, I think that'd be great. I suppose there is a bit of a sour mood around the place after the defeat last week. You see today that the Rovers tickets for Monday have gone on general sale. There's not really much of an appetite, I suppose, for going to the game now and enjoying yourself. But hopefully the players put on a good performance. We'll get the 3 points and we'll head home happy and get a bit of confidence ahead of the Rovers game on Monday and the derby against Pats after that as well. So yeah, that's where I'll end it. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, comment down below what you think ahead of the game, your score predictions, and I'll see you for reaction the day after. Bye bye.